Welcome back to Unlocked. So I want to talk about betting on yourself because I've been recording a lot about it, and I think it's important. I don't think we bring it up enough. So when you are looking at, a new year, a lot of times people use that to create resolutions, and I do the same thing. I actually sat down with my wife last night, and this is being recorded in December. Not sure when you're listening, but right before the year ends, and we sat down, to plan goals, and it took us a couple hours, and it's cool to see, So I'll tell you a little bit how we do it, so that maybe you can take this and run. I think it's good to set goals, and I think it's symbolic if they're at the beginning of the year. I think most people set goals, and we demonize a lot first, like New Year resolutions, because most people don't hit them, but I think it's okay to set goals if your goal is to hit them. I think we were looking at our 2024 goals, and we had several categories. So we had like a spiritual goal. We had like for our relationship with spirituality and God. We also had a marriage goal. We had a business goal. We had a money saved goal, and then we also had what else we had? We had a parenting goal. And we had I think we had a second marriage goal. There was like two maybe marriage activities. And then we had books to read for each of those. And I'm going to say we probably hit 80%. We didn't hit all of the goals, but we're looking at it and we're like, wow, we actually did hit 80%. And it was interesting because we actually didn't follow up on them. So it's not like we had like a meeting every month and go back to the goals, which we probably should do that. There was not like a meeting after 6 months, which I think would be smart to have like a touch point in June. We didn't do any of that, and we just naturally hit most of these goals. Of course, that these are things that are in our head, and I think a good way to set goals is, again, first of all, you got to bet on yourself. And if you don't set goals for yourself, it's really hard. Your boss can set goals for you, or whoever it is that you respond to, but it's harder, and they're not going to be in your best interest always. They're definitely not going to be any more selfless and selfish in a good way than if you do them yourself. So I recommend first dividing it by categories that matter to you. And there's no order on how or whatever. The order I choose is the order we choose. But you should think about, hey, what are some things that matter to me? I think health and fitness is another one. So like last year was my second year in the gym. So like my gym goal was to go to the gym 200 times for the year, which is an average of around 4 times a week. And so if you have a health goal, a fitness goal, maybe it's a food, eating more, eating less goal. Maybe it's a business goal, money saved, whatever that worries you. I think if you just put focus on it and bet on yourself, you have higher chances in achieving it than if you don't. And so for me and my wife, it worked really well. And then when I look back at the year, I think about, man, there was a lot of times that I didn't want to read, and I basically read every day. There was a lot of times where I didn't really want to get up and go to the gym. I was feeling sick. I was feeling, but it was those moments where like the goal would pull me, and there was, going to the gym 4 times a week sounds super easy, but it is a lot harder to do when you're in the week. Guess what? There's a new week every week too. So you might just be done, but then it starts again. And I realized that a lot of times you're under the weather, or you're sick, or you don't have time, or you're just feeling sore. And I would remember like, dude, but I got to get my 4th this week. I got to get in this week. And I think it happens the same for money. I think it happens the same for your relationship, or I think you should have goals for your marriage, or for your couple, or for your spouse if you have a spouse. So I was thinking about it, and I'm like, man, I've actually been doing this a lot longer than just last year. Now thankfully I'm married to my best friend, and it's great. But I used to do goals by myself too. And I remember, if I rewind 3-4 years ago, I had a journal that somebody gifted me. It was called The Best Journal Ever. You can find it on Amazon. And it was like one of these corny things that makes you fill out 3 things you're grateful every day and whatever. And I would use it. And I remember writing down every day my to-do list, and writing every day my long-term goals. And I found these notebooks a while ago, and I was like, man, I really did, like, I was like, if I looked at Richard outside of being Richard, I know that sounds weird, I was like really rooting for this guy. I was like, man, go for it, Richard. This is great. And not in a bragging way, but I just realized now when I open my eyes and I look at the world and I look at like people are just very average, and the average person in the United States is overweight, divorced, and doesn't have any money in savings. I think less than 10% of people, or might be 5, but I mean, look me up, don't quote me, but I definitely somewhere around less than 10% of people in the United States have less than $10,000 in savings, which is not a lot of money for maybe an emergency or even a vacation or even like going away for a little bit of time. And when I realized, okay, wow, like why, like what's one of the reasons that I've been able to overcome or surpass some of these averages and when it comes to where I come from in my family, or when it comes to just, again, the average person in the United States. And I realized it's because I always had goals and I was always trying, and I didn't really hit most of them all the time, but I had the goals, and I created pride around my goals, and I did write them down. I put them on a paper every day. And I still had my lazy moments, and I've watched probably more Netflix shows than I should have, but that was always after the fact, right? That was always after I did whatever my homework or my goal achieving activities for the day were. And when I look back, I realized this is what people don't do. People just do the easy stuff, which I do as well. People just watch Netflix, they eat whatever they want, they go to the gym if they feel like it, and they work hard only if they're being watched. And I kind of have those moments too in all of those areas. But I also have my other moments, and I think as long as there's a healthy combination, you will be above average. And this is just a reminder, bet on yourself. Think about 2025 and realize, what can I do different? Can I improve? Can I just set up a goal? You know, a tip that really worked for me is, I remember taking a picture of my goals, and I would send it to somebody that meant a lot to me. At the time, it was my mentor, Julia and Chang. And every day I would send them a picture of my goals, and I was not expecting a response. I was just sending it because I was like, you know what? I want someone else to be, it was a weird way, it's actually not a weird way, but it was just a richer way to hold myself accountable. Because even though I'm a disciplined person, I don't want to rely on discipline. I want to rely on other people as well. And sometimes people grow up in a prideful state where they just don't want to rely on people, but I think that goes against nature. You know, we were created to be in community and to fellowship, and I think for me, knowing that other people are looking at my goals, and I had simple goals like drink 2 bottles of water every day or eat a piece of fruit. Like I had simple goals too for the day, but I wanted other people to know that I was doing them because it was in a way going to hold me accountable. And if I had to rely, my discipline wasn't enough, I could always count on, I didn't want to disappoint somebody. And I think too many people don't use that, and they don't share their goals. They don't say they have any, and they don't want to disappoint somebody else. And I think it's the fear of disappointing somebody else will actually help you get a lot of things done way more than you think. So I would encourage you for this year, write down some goals. It doesn't matter if you're listening to this and it's already a few days into the year. It doesn't matter really if it's at the beginning of the year. It just matters that you actually take the time to maybe write something down, something you would like to aspire to be, and send it to somebody that can help you accomplish your goals for the next year, for the next few years. So hopefully that helps. Thanks for listening.